Ba 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 ba. I have this pet project called Writernaut, and the point of Writernaut, it's a tool for writers, and the point of Writernaut is to basically provide the tools so you could write something that looks like 2 scoops of Django, and if not 2 scoops of Django, because that's written in raw LaTeX, it's hard to duplicate that in an automated system. Django Crash Course, which is written using Bookdown, but we may move that to um, Sphinx very soon, where Fabio is one of the things that we are working on. Mostly Fabio's working on. I'm just cheering him on because he's awesome. All right, so I think if I do another, there we go. So it automatically goes to my shell, so I didn't even need to do the work that I was doing. Clear. Although it does have it does have the conda base, but I can live with that. I'll just modify the shell later to get rid of that. Okay, so that is what Writernaut is, and one of the things is with Writernaut, and I'll start it up here. I have a little make command so you can see. Writernaut at the moment really has 2 components. Here's our lovely landing page, which I'm pretty happy with. Wonder how it looks for you. Oh, it looks good for you if you're watching on. So if I log in, and I don't know what I have for a username, so I think I may have to look it up in 1Password. These are older versions of Writernaut, so these will not work. I think, oh, here we go, writernaut.com 2020. Is that going to be my password? I doubt it. I have a, oh look, I have my PGSQL admin password. Okay, so I think this is not it. Oh, you know what that was from? That was from when I was starting to try it in a different frame, as going down a different path. But all right, so I think I'm gonna need to open up a new window and do manage.py change password, and then I think I have PyDanny. Is that it? Nope. Let's try Daniel. It's been a few weeks since I touched this. Okay. Okay, so I now have a password for myself, and if I sign in, okay, so, oh, that's interesting. Well, one, I need to add in the icons, and profile is kind of ugly, but really, actually, so here's the issue. This is what I'm gonna work on today, because I'm kind of going off on tangents. Let me go into the admin. Oh, I not authenticated. Let's do admin. Let's see. I think I'm gonna have to go into the shell to resolve this, because I need to have some sample data to work with. So user.isStaff false, and is super user false. Okay, that's what I thought. So equals true, user.save. Okay, and now if I get out of this and I go back and I do Daniel. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I have, oh, where are all my books? Well, that would explain. So the books were things that I had. They're just not titled. I think I must have reset the database. Okay, let's address that. So 2 scoops of Django 3.x is the name of our book. A book on Django best practices. I'm going to get to what I'm going to be doing really soon, but first I'm going to mock out some chapters really quick. Yeah, and there's no words yet defined here. So lorem ipsum. I don't have a local generator for content, but I want to create one. Here we go. So let's just gonna be super fast. Don't need that. Coding standards. And then next one would be, let's see, we have coding standards. Hey Gossam, how's it going? I hope your internet connection is good today. Okay, so we have coding standards, and then we have bottleneck analysis, and let's also do flavors of the month. Okay, then if I go back up to the book, it's not in the best location, so bear with me. But right now, if I click build the book, ooh, don't I have Pandoc installed? So what I was trying to show you is, let me go into code. I thought I had something. Let's see, brew install. I thought I had Pandoc locally. I do not have Pandoc. Well, isn't that interesting? How did Pandoc get removed? Let's install Pandoc. And this is just what we're using for now for this. The point is that, so right now, if I build the book, it's going to, if I remember correctly, all it's going to do is, I believe it creates a build record, and then it logs the different states within the build. And as it does this, it doesn't notify us back that there are books being built. And the reason why this is important is because if you've ever watched my stream when I'm working on 2 Scoops of Django or Django Crash Course, building those books takes time, and not an insignificant amount of time. If I do a full build, we're talking 10 to 15 minutes, for example, of 2 Scoops of Django. There is a very good chance that users of this system will maybe creating books, especially if we're getting into really nice PDF output, and to, hopefully won't have this issue with the Kindle or EPUB, but we probably will, where just the build process takes a bunch of time. And if you ever try LeanPub, who is kind of, that's my dream, is to be like LeanPub, then, although kind of a different market, their build process can take a while. So the goal, what I want to do is provide a constant status of that happening. And that's what I want to explore, especially because one of the things we intend to do is to charge per build. Typically with these kind of sites, if you want to do 100 builds, there's no charge for you pay a monthly fee. Sometimes they give you a lifetime account or whatever, but each time you run it, that's computer time, and it's not insignificant. And my goal is, the part of the design of the Writernaut is such that if you have a long, we want to make you pay for those long builds, right? It's one of the ways we want to make money. And it's also going to empower us to improve the process at every level to make better design stuff, so people want to do more builds, and also use the API that we provide to produce beautiful works. So, but in order to really do that, what we should do is have a segment here saying builds, and then you can click into a build and see the status of a build and the file that it rendered. So how am I doing? I'm doing okay. I've decided that rather than dive into the business stuff that I should arguably doing, this is a day for me to be creative with code. Like working on books, writing them is one way to be creative, but I need to get my hands into the code again, because I'm starting to feel it, and it's I guess affecting my productivity if I don't get that stuff. So, all right, so we're going to build the book, and that really didn't tell me anything. Didn't tell us anything. And so where did that happen? So we got 500 error again. It can't find Pandoc. No, it built. It said not, so it's found, it's okay. But we're not really seeing anything. And I think we might have a build. If I go back to the admin, so we do have builds. Ah, look at this. So we can see that rendering complete, yet the status. Oh, so there's some changes clearly that need to be made. So let's see if we can do those really quick. So if I go into, let's close some of this stuff so I can see where I am. And if anybody wants to know, the online Django crash course that we did last week went smashingly well. Everyone had a blast. People seem to like really move forward too, which for me was very exciting. So here's the build process, and then oh, look at that. So we're updating the build stat. We did not update this. So build status. Actually, what are our build statuses that we can use? Finished. Okay, so now we can say that it's finished. So if I run it again, and we're not seeing anything, we can't even access the file, which is really problematic. I think that's because I was just kind of toying around with building it. Perfect, and you can see it's finished, rendering complete, and we don't have a link to a file or anything like that. So these are all things that I get to fix. But here's the thing. So let's say I create this builds thing, and I have a list of builds, and a build is running. I want to update the user, and hence the use of channels. Like, why not have a WebSocket connection that does it? But here's the thing. I mean, it's been a few years since I've used channels, and I know that there's a new, actually, I think I stopped using it right after the new version come out. So it's been a while since I've touched it. And here's the thing. I can build out the channels. I can build out the build views. And so I have one segment of the builds over here, of channels, which is like, here, this is how we connect with WebSockets. And over here, I have, hey, this is how we build the views. But there's no good integration. It's basically views of some sort into the same data, but there's this huge separation between them, and that channels is in the consumers, and then the views are in the views. And so what I plan to experiment with today, because I haven't done this, I have an idea of how I want to do it, is I want to combine the two. I want to have Django views and channels in the same place. And I've got this idea, so I'm gonna try and execute, and you're gonna watch me either like come up with something amazing, or we can all laugh about like my crazy idea. I love doing this kind of stuff though. Like, this is what we should be doing, right? Is having fun with this. So right now we have this build view, and all the build view does is it doesn't provide any information. The only time build view is called really is when I call build the book. That calls this post method inside this class-based view. And what I want to do there's two things I want to do. I want to create this build view really fast. So it'll provide me a list of views as well as individual views. And then, but I also want to have the ability to get some detail of things, that kind of stuff. And I could do build list view and build view, but I have this wacky plan. There's this concept called bread, right? So I don't know if you've heard of bread. So you've heard of rest, or not rest. You've heard of CRUD. CRUD is create. Here, let's blow this up. Okay, so CRUD is create, for the C, read, update, and delete. And bread is very similar. It is browse, read, edit, add, and delete. Really similar to CRUD, except for browse is when you're searching or going through a list of records. Read is when you're getting individual items. So it kind of breaks it apart a little bit. And I think what I want to do is come up with bready. This is like and bready means WebSocket connections to channels. I haven't come up with a good acronym for it. And then do it kind of in a view-like object. And again, I don't know if this is going to work. This isn't going to be a view. This is going to be some crazy stuff because it's kind of a... I don't think it's crazy, though, because it's a separation that bugs me about channels in Django, and I want to find a way to get past that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to consider this to be... You can hear if without ID, then shows list of builds for user. If with ID, shows detail. So let's do that. Let's do, if I go to my builds, I think this is build. And so, okay, so the book is, builder is the one calling the build because the book could in theory have other people editing it. So we're going to do the query on the build. So, first of all, let us, we're going to do it. We're going to create. The one thing I don't like about black is it makes this a little bit harder for me to read. Hey, finite singularity. And then we're going to do pk int. And then let's see. So we have build. Now this is going to be, see, it's called build, but I don't like that name. But why not? Let's try it. Let's see what happens. Let's be a little bit crazy here because I want to be, again, this is my chance to be experimental and creative with these tools. So so we have this int, so either it has the int or it doesn't, and that means that if we'll start with pk equals self, actually it's quargs.get and then pk because that's what's being passed in. Oh, I just got a follow. Let's see who that was. That was PJ McKay too. Thank you. I really do appreciate the follow. Okay, so we have this. If pk is none, handle as a list, and then so then we'll return that value there. This is just going to throw an error at the moment, and then if and then handle as a detail. Yeah. Okay. So let me think for a second. So we have this. So we're going to need to get object or 404. We got that up there. So let's see. How did I do this earlier? So just really simple. Oh, this is grabbing request.postid, but I think in our case, what we're going to do is, so here we get our build because we want to get a list of builds, not a book. Okay, so build, and then the ID equals the PK, or I could do PK equals PK, and then builder. Yeah, we can just do this. Will work fine. So so we may change this up a little bit to have an or statement, so that way if you want to see what other people are building, you can do that. But for now, we'll just leave it as is, just to keep it super simple. And then, you know, it's been I'm having a weird blank on the render function, so let's take a look at it. It is render, request, template name, and context. Okay, so we're gonna take the request and then template name, and this is gonna be builds, and then this is build detail. And if you notice, I'm following the same patterns as with generic class-based views. Why mess with a good thing, right? And then we're going to pass in the context. And so for the context, we can do context, and I'm going to be, I know this might not be the fastest way to build things, but you know, it's microseconds when you're using a dict. Although on the flip side, that's even harder to read. So, well, I'm actually really enjoying this chance of mine to explore and remember these things. And then, sir, I don't think there's anything else at the moment I want to grab. So we have our builds, we have our build detail, and then let's also do the list version. This one is going to it's going to do context equals it's going to be, oh, this isn't JavaScript. If there's something I really like about JavaScript over Python, is that in JavaScript you have this ability to you don't need quotes around the key in the dictionary if it's a most strings. So, oh, I love that feature. That is such a that is such a nice, wonderful feature. So builder equals and request dot user, and then for templates and context, actually I think we can just slide that in, and we have a book list. So, all right, and now we're gonna add this to our base template. Oh, let's see. So here it is. Oh, I have the nav bar up here just to make it a little bit easier to see. My books. And now we're going to have builds. And I'm putting this at the top level. We might finesse the design of that. Builds list. Oh, look at that. So when I look at this, when I look at the URL, so this handles both post and so this should be create. Actually, it should be let's since we're doing Brady, this is browse or add. Okay, and then this is going to be read or edit or delete. So B is the start of bread, R is EAD. Perfect. So, and then we'll just pick out the methods. Like we'll have a post method. This might get changed. Actually, you won't be able to edit a build. So we're going to change the URL, because a build once started, as a user, you should not be able to edit a build. It goes until it stops, and the admin will be able to end it. So it's not quite Brady, it's Brad. Brady. So yeah, it's gonna be browse for a list of items. Read is get individual things. We don't have an edit, so we're just gonna go to add, and then D for delete, and Y for WebSockets, because I don't know the alphabet. So so it says Brady, but I think it sounds better if I pronounce it Brady. Okay, So what that means though is here in our books, with the book form, we have build the book, and that goes to build. It should be browser add, and so that's what I'm changing it to. And let's see if we manage to break our build system. Oh, look at this. Uses invalid converter PK. Did I get that backwards? Probably did. What is that supposed to be? Books. Oh wow, I got the order of operations backwards. So it's int pk and so so it's not so this is looking for builds list in the nav bar, but that's not correct. It should be browser add. So if I go to my nav bar, and it should be browser add. Okay, so now if I refresh, we can see we have builds. Template does not exist, so the form is working correctly. Now if I go to here and let's see, I might have. Okay, so now if I go to the admin and see what I have, we can see I have more of these builds in operation. And we're going to be tracking the builds. Like we're not going to get deleting these, at least initially, because this is also how we track for billing. Because again, we bill per build. Okay, so let's fix this issue. Is there a template for? Is there a directory for our? No, we have to create our builds. So we're gonna. Oops, that doesn't belong there. I guess I could do this in the command line, but we're just gonna do it here in the shell. And then we're gonna have build list dot HTML, and then we also will be adding a build detail dot HTML. And if we look at the user's detail, okay, I'm just seeing if there's anything I need to know. Nope, we are good. So let's, and we have block content. Okay, just looking at the pieces I need. So first thing, and then block content, and we may add in title later. Because I want to get to the fun part with trying to make this work in the same class as and come with a convention to make it work, because I think this is going to be heavily convention based. List the builds here, and then oh, that's detail for builds here, and then list the builds here. All right, let's see what we have. Perfect. So now if I go to builds, it doesn't fix this part. Let's see. There's kind of a kludgy way that I did that before, and I think it's down here. Or it is, aha, this is it right here. So what we do is we have a base file, and okay, so we need to change this. So base.html, and you're going to see what's going to happen in a second, and see how I have this block content, and then inside of it I'll have a block. There's a block inner, and so what I can do is, or what I am going to do is, I'm going to stick block inner, block content, because I want every build to have this JavaScript call that sets some stuff, and then this is gonna extends base.html at the root level. Okay, and if we look over here at base dashboard, we have this right here. We are going to stick that there. So now it'll be, so now in our nav bar, which is here, I think there is, yes. So nav bar my, now it's nav bar my builds. And these now will go to that base. Oops. So now this line here, when I'm in build, should be underneath it. Ta-da! That's it. That's what I just created. Pretty straightforward. Hey, how's it going, Code Show? Okay, so let's grab a list of things. I'm not going to get too fancy with the design, just a simple unordered list. If I need a break from, once I'm digging into the weeds, if I get stuck on something, then, oh, wow, I wonder if you can hear that grinding sound in the background from the construction happening next door, which inevitably starts when I'm streaming or teaching. Teaching a code class is like, oh yeah, let's for build in builds. Okay, so let's see what we have. I just refreshed my chat. That was expected end. Oh, end 4. There we go. So it's pretty. Why is this? So this is an unordered list. Oh, you know why? Because we are using Tailwind UI, so I need to address that. Tailwind UI. Let's go to our components. Let's see, elements, flyers, page examples, applications. Here we go. We have lists. We have 3 kinds of lists. We have a table. Oh, so is this actually a table? Oh, it is a table. Dare I do it as a table? Let me see what else we have, because I know this might be okay. And then we also have grid lists. I don't think we want that. So let's just see if there's another structure that we can use. Data display, forms, feedback, navigation, overlays, elements. Yeah, you can definitely hear that sound. So let me play with the noise gate on this. I think it's pretty much where I can have it. So I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna see what else I can do. I can decrease the volume of my mic, but let me see if I can close things. Give me a minute. Oh, water. Okay, so we got Tailwind UI and it's been awesome. We really like it. I mean, you can see it in Writernaut. It's really you're seeing me use it right now. Like we have tables, and in fact, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use their version of a simple table to do my list, and just because it's why not? It's really easy to use. Here I just literally I'm gonna paste it in. There's a Crispy Forms template pack for it that Carlton Grimes is maintaining. He's the current Django fellow, and he is uh, he's maintaining that. So it's good quality work, and so I found it pretty nice. That said, it's not cheap, and but we have a 90-day trial. So if you don't like it after 90 days, you can return it and do things that way. So see if there's any difference between these. No, so I'm just going to we're just going to do this. Ah, look at that. So we also have this edit thing. Oh, that's not going to work at all. Hold on. And then we can have just doing this super fast for now because it's just our way to. That looks pretty nice. And then we can have status. So we can make this a. Let's see, what do they have here? So go here. They have okay. So what we're gonna do is we're going to have get rid of the. There we go. Started, and then finished. All right, let's do status. So we have, if I look at the results I just generated, we have status, we have timestamp, and the builder. And the reason why the builder will be useful is at some point when, my hope is that, a company will use this, and then people do like builds constantly. We'll be charging them like 10 cents for each build. We'll see how that if we'll stick to that payment plan. But yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So we have build status, and then the user. Okay, so we have started is build.created, build. So next is status. So I think we can just do status, and then get status display, and finally we want the builder. So builder dot build.builder. So let's see how this looks. There we go. So now I can, I could linkify this. I could be like, hey, ref. And then build.builder.get absolute URL. So now, and now what we can do, class link. I think that I thought I had like a link class. So hold on. So we have static CSS. We have our raw, and I thought, yeah, I have a class called link. So I'm not sure why that is not working in this context. Class link, huh? Well, it doesn't matter. Oh, there we go. Now it shows up. So, and then the other thing I can do is we can get rid of this right here. Just save some real estate for the screen. And then, so we can do a ref. And then we have, oh, you know what we do? Build.get absolute URL. We're almost there, and then we're going to get into, okay, so perfect. So now I go nowhere because builds don't have their own get absolute URL yet. So let's add that. Books, builds, models. Here we go. So the get absolute URL for this needs to be okay. So we have self.pk, and now we have builds colon. What was it? It was like this long thing. So read or delete. There we go. Models. Reverse is not defined. Let's fix that. From Django.shortcuts import reverse. Perfect. So now look at that. So this goes to build 2, and we have the detail for builds here. So let's I think I can throw together something really fast. I guess I will, just super duper fast. And all I'm gonna do is build, and then we're just gonna do super duper simple for log in build.logs. And then we're gonna do log. And that way, wasn't that, did I name that incorrectly? So, oh, and okay, so this is the logs. All right, build, and then h2 logs. And grab, and what I'm doing, these are defined classes that I did in Tailwind. And so this is header, subheader. So I need to add those things. So class, that's a subheader. H1 is a header. What I should do is have something like H1. Whoops. Class. But yeah. Awesome. So we'll fine tune this. What's really important though is this screen right here, because what I want to be able to do is, like, these are frozen in time. What I should be able to do though is I want to have the ability where, let me go to the admin, and I'll show everyone what my dream is. just so you can see my mad crazy plan. So there's this one in progress, and whoops, this isn't where I want to be. This is where I want to be. So I think I'm going to get rid of this really fast because that is not helping at all. Was header. I thought that was. There we go. So yeah, what I want to do is if I go here and change this because I'm an admin, I click close by admin. If I click save, then the save method should call the consumer or post save signal, it doesn't matter what, it calls the consumer and channels, which then communicates to the browser, and then this should change. And this is doable. There's nothing about this that people have done, channels haven't done it before. The thing is that I want to be a little bit different on is I actually want it to work inside of this class right here. That I should be able to go and, because right now, this is what I talked about at the beginning of this. Right now, if I have channel consumers over here, I have my views right here, and they often can be views into the same data, but the issue is that if I do that, then I have my view code in two different places. It's kind of like an API, like separating out into an API, but not really. And I've never been comfortable about that. I think it makes for unmaintainable code. So let me show you my idea, and we're going to start with a really simple experiment. My experience is to have class build container view. I don't have a good name for it yet, which is just a simple object. The view goes inside of it. See that? And then here's the fun of it. Then we'd have either def or I think, do they support it? So then we'd have the build view, and then we have the build consumer, and then in my URLs, what I would be doing is calling views dot build build container dot build view dot as view. And what I want to do before we go any further is test if this works. It should work. There's nothing wrong with how this works. So we're gonna see if this blows up. Well, and it does not like it because, so here's the thing. Writernaut dot builds dot views has no attribute build container. So clearly my that would work in JavaScript. But we're not dealing with JavaScript. This is Python, and Python has a bit more constraints. Let me take this up. So the question is, how do we contain it in the same thing? And another thought that I could do is, so currently right now, consumers are just built in another location than the views. And another thought is, what about just doing it like this, putting the consumers in the same directory as the build view? And what I might do is try this first, and then and based off of this, well, actually, here's an even better idea. This is what I do. I build this out using channels in a traditional way. And then once I have the channels working, since this is a small, pretty simple example, if a build model's status changes, we notify the user in any available WebSockets. So what we do is we implement that in the standard Django channels way, And if there is a problem with, and then once we have that working, that gives us a control for implementing my crazy idea of putting this into like, you know, this bready object that I want to do. So, okay. Oh, wow. I think Map Logo, thank you for the follow. Woohoo! I'm on fire. Oh, and so I've had, and Kocho, I think I thanked you too. So I've had three follows today. I am on fire. Okay, so let's I guess it's time to dig into some channels code. But before I do that, let's commit our work. So git add Writernaut, git commit added full build views, git push. Oh, and Creatine, is that how I say your name? Thank you also for the follow, much appreciated. Okay, so let's oh, that does not like, oh, because it is really stuck on that. Oh, because I haven't fixed the urls.py. I am, yeah, see, it didn't like that at all. And I need to commit, let's test it real quick. And then also, you know what I haven't run today is coverage run -m pytest, running our tests. We were at 99% test coverage. That will have dropped. Ooh, that is really not a good thing. We're gonna open up our Postgres. I think there was a remind me later to install that. Writernaut. Aha, yeah, there's a drop db test Writernaut. Okay, let's try it again. And hopefully this time, awesome. And then coverage report. See what we have. 89%. Ooh, that's not good. We'll get to that. Let's do the channels first. I'm really excited about working on the channels at the moment. Django channels. Yeah, like I said earlier, it's been I've done a ton of work in channels, but it's been several years now, so I'm gonna be a little bit out of practice. So installation. Yep, just let's grab our channels. Pip install -u channels. So we're at 2.4.0 of channels. And it's installing some other useful things. And let's see, channels, requirements. No, not yet. So what you're saying is doing is putting this back inside the build container and trying and importing that. So doing class build container. And that's an awful name. I'm not a big fan of the name. It's just right now it gets across the ideal as it's encapsulated in my head. From dot views import build container, and then we can do this. Let's give it a try. Yeah. So the issue is that this is not this, because you define a class within another class doesn't make this class an attribute of that. What would work is if I did this. I'll show you in just a second. Is if I did this and then I specified view equals build view, and like this is not an insurmountable problem. I have certainly done this, but I would rather work on, actually, no, I would like to know the answer to this, because that's the answer to my problem. But also, is the answer to my problem simply to put the consumer into the same place as the same module as the view? I don't know. I mean, part of this is establishing a convention. What would be even better, but I don't think this object would handle it gracefully. Although I could be wrong, is imagine if I put the consumer inside this class. Like, what would be the side effects that? I don't know, but what I'll start with for now is implementing it with channels, and then seeing if make it fault routing. So there's a routing. Okay, so I see. So I have to add. So let me get the channels installed, and let's see. So we have config, settings, and this. Where did this go? This one into our installed apps. So we go to base, installed apps. Here are the Django apps, and I guess we'll call it third-party apps. We will put that at the bottom of channels. I mean, at the top of third-party apps. I think that's a safe place to put it. And then we need a routing file. So that would be at the same level as my project. So that would be here where URLs are. Yeah, in Django, they use this class meta thing. And, you know, I think what I might do is separate some code out and try out a couple things. In fact, why don't I do that right now? So if I do, I'll just do it here. So do it in this handy dandy shell. And then if I do, just do it in shell plus, so if I Python handy, oops, pyadmin is not defined. Yeah, how did that get changed? Okay, let me get rid of the build container because it's just going to be harder to investigate here. I'm going to close this. I don't need that at the moment. Okay, so let's define our class. So we have class container, and in that class we have class view, and then we're going to pass. Okay, now let's instantiate. Actually, before we even instantiate, because if I instantiate it, c equals container, I'm guessing it's going to be easier to find it now. So c dot view. See, there's the view, but container is a this right here we haven't established yet. So container dot view. So that works. That definitely works, and I can even set on the view. So then that makes me wonder, what am I doing wrong here? Build container. Okay, so if I go to our URLs and then from dot views import build container. Now let's refresh our page. Blah. So we'll just copy paste for now, just so we don't get these errors. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with the import. Now we're going to change build container to this. Let's see if this works. And it works. Oh my god. So why did that not work before? I think I must have had a typo. That was it. I'm pretty certain I had a typo. So if I get rid of this and we still have our build container. Awesome. Oh my god, that's perfect. Yeah, because I was like, why isn't this working? But really the issue was, and then Taz92, you like poking and prodding at me made me focus on it instead of just wanting to move on to other things. What was it? Was it Monday or actually it was also in the live Django crash course thing that we taught on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of last week. Is I explained, hey, when I get stuck or I like can't figure something out, my defense when I'm streaming is to want to go do something else that I'm like, oh, I've got audience, I can't look stupid in front of everyone here, because we all get imposter syndrome, right? But that's how we learn, because if we feel we don't know something, we want to resolve that, so we have less of an imposter syndrome. Okay, this is awesome because now let me commit what I have. Let's go back to the shell and we're gonna exit this. Git status, git. Now I don't know honestly if this, by the way, for those of you following along, oh, you were there in the class, so did I say it in the class? Excellent. I don't know if what I'm establishing is a pattern or design that is smart. You are joining me in this experiment. So what I'm doing here may not be something to be done in the long run, but part of um, building stuff is sometimes breaking stuff, is figuring out things that you shouldn't be doing. And I'm worried that this class will just have so much stuff in it, or maybe not. We'll find out. So git commit put the view in a container and get channels installed. Okay, so we need this routing. We need to add the default routing in my project. So that's at the config level. And then so here, where did I find this? I'm not sure what this is. Like, I don't think we're using this WebSocket thing for anything. And then our ASCII application. Setting. So there's an ASCII application. This is not obvious that it's a setting. Maybe that's something I'll fix at some point. Or I'll submit a PR. Okay, there's our test keys. So it is Writernaut .config.routing. Actually, it's just config.routing.application. Let me make sure that is the case. Yeah, Writernaut config. So there it is. Empty now. All right. Okay, let's so now the question is so right now my make async command that calls that is calling uvcorn, so that way we can run async Django views. So part of this also is determining is learning the specifics of running async Django with this and looking at the see how it does config.ascii, and right now config.ascii does what? Oh, interesting. So how do you run the two of them together? See how there's this async def application, and maybe the answer is, oh, I see. So here's the WebSocket, and then here's this. So how do you run the two of them together? Async Django Channels. So see if the current Django project docs explain this. This is a minor challenge. This isn't insurmountable. This is for 3.0. We want to do 3.1. Okay, and then channels, async. Let's see, we have asynchronous support. All right, so what I'm looking for here is async adapter functions. So all of these things I know. Maybe it looks like there's answer on Stack Overflow for this. All right, let's think this through. So our routing uses this protocol type router. And here, I think there's parts of this that I would understand, because this is actually provided by the core Django docs. All right, and by Django, here we go. And so it's opening up a door to this WebSocket thing, but it's not explaining what the mechanisms for that are. So we have WebSockets actually already enabled. Did I even need to install channels. Because ASCII and channels and all this stuff is all related. It's all made by Andrew Godwin. So there's ASCII. And see if someone's demonstrated how to do this yet. All right, here we go. So this, I think I read this a while ago. And so here he's using ASCII thing. He's, this is what comes with it. If we look all the way over here at not our routing, but our WebSocket, that looks very similar to this. And then testing it out, our ASCII application is set up to handle WebSocket connections, and we implement our WebSocket server logic. And actually, let's change this a little bit. So what I want to do is let's comment out a few things, because now I'm wondering, like, do I need channels for this? It's not really that clear, especially since there's already there, we're gonna close these things off. So now if I, oops. So what I want to do is, okay, so when I start UVcorn, that's running my make async script. So see how it's going to call UVcorn, and it's going to call the ASCII app right there. So let's try it, and then didn't quite get what they got. Pip install. So we run our ASCII app by running the following command. That is application, and then that is running within inside of ASCII, and that is here. So it hits both HTTP and WebSockets, maybe. Open up, aha, here we go. So now what we can do is we can test it. So and then in the console, create a new WebSocket pointed to. So I'm gonna try this in my browser. So let's call up the JavaScript console and try to blow that up. So WebSocket equals new WebSocket, and we're gonna call the WebSocket, because it'd be nice if we didn't have to add channels. I mean, nothing against channels, but look at that. So we have a WebSocket, WebSocket.onMessage, and that's going to be an event that is just going to grab the event data. So we're calling a JavaScript error function. So think of it kind of like a lambda. Right? So, and then WS send ping. I think he added a pong. Okay, so we got something back. Do we have pong in here? Oh, look at that. So maybe I added this before. Oh, I see. So this is our WebSocket call. And then now you know how to add So I think, you know, at some point I followed this. And I remember I ran into this then, and it's like, hey, look, I've added WebSocket support. So here's the thing. This is not WebSocket support for all of Django. This is just returning a ping. How do I authenticate people? How do I hit the ORM with the authenticated user? None of that is explained. This is really, really simplistic. I shouldn't be ranty. So the question though is, so he has scope, receive, send. So the question then is, how do you make this work? Let me think for a second, because right now we're running Async Django. The post link, sure. This is the article that basically says here, this is how you get a Pong request, but you know, I'm not covering authenticated users. But maybe we can dig into channels and yeah, this is, I mean, I don't blame anyone. Like, don't think I'm angry that this guy wrote what he did or whatever, because you know, this stuff is, documenting this stuff is hard. So here they have some JavaScript. Right, your first consumer, and then so here they have a WebSocket consumer, and you can see there's the send, and it's the same type. So basically this chat consumer handles this other stuff. And here they have WebSocket URL patterns, and they're using the classic RE path, and they put in the protocol type router. So let's see what they do for authentication. For authentication, there's an auth middleware stack which handles routing. And if I'm not mistaken by this, so what this does with what ASCII does right now is, if it is coming in here, then we await the WebSocket application running here. Okay. Yeah, so the advantage of using channels over what I'm doing is that channels includes all this authentication stuff, and specifically the stuff that I'm using. I wonder if I turn back on the channels stuff. So we let's turn on the channels. We're going to turn the channel stuff back on. And what that's going to do is that's going to call config.routing.application. And will that, so there's get ASCII application, and the routing, it's hitting a prototype router. The question is does this work with async views in Django? Let's check the Django. I mean, it might already, I might be like worried about something that isn't an issue. Recent version of channels, that's old. Um, see, here's another place where they're not using it. Real-time taxi app. Because it'd be great if we could leverage in that WebSocket stuff. And if we look at WebSocket, ASCII, there's no routing here. So it's very, if we look at, where is it? So here it's going right to the root, but there's no routing. Using website which can access Django models. Here they're using channels to basically build kind of like, this isn't really what I want. Here he's using the authentication module for channels. All right, let me think for a second. Okay, so here's the issue that I'm at right now. The issue is that I want to lean on Async Django for doing things like starting builds and doing other things where and hitting third-party APIs. I could do it in channels or Celery, but I want to do it in in this other thing. So here we have WebSocket application. And if I do the routing, and if it is, while true, it is running this in a thread. And this is, this is nothing against the guy who created this, is a bit of a hack. So let's see how this actually works. So, because maybe we can glue it into Django. I know people have done some advanced things with this. Oh, here it is. This is our application. And I'm going to open the window. Just hold on a second. Okay, so people have used something like this to do kind of live reload, kind of like how Phoenix. Oh, Edil1634, thank you for the follow. People have used async views to implement something similar to the Phoenix framework's live view thing. So I want to see if I can find that. Phoenix. Phoenix versus Django. Django to Phoenix. So I don't, when I'm not, oh, this is it. Here we go. This could be interesting. This is what I saw someone talking about. So, all right. So this actually is using, so there, okay. So this is not what I was thinking. This actually does kind of live views in Phoenix style, which is interesting, but it's not quite what we want. And I'd rather not have to reinvent a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, I don't want to go down a really deep rabbit hole. So this uses turbo links. That's actually pretty exciting. Maybe this is the answer. Let's take a look at this. I'm going to show you the repo that I'm looking at, because maybe I am going about this the wrong way. Maybe someone else has solved the problem already. And something I want to make clear is if someone else has solved a problem, don't solve it again. Okay, so he says there's no replacement for Vue.js or React, but I wouldn't worry about that because, like, if you lose the connection, I guess the question is do the existing components suddenly break? Need to set up channel layers as part of your config. Reactor won't work without channel layers enabled. So let's actually set up. I think I have done that now. Config.routing.application. So let's see what happens if we okay, so let's see if the application works as expected. Because if we have to, we will use Django. We'll use channels. It's not the end of the world if we end up doing some of this with my books. And I have my builds. If I go to my books, I'm going to start a new book. Whoa! Oh, that's right, because it makes you pay because I wasn't quite done doing that yet. But what I can do, this is an update, and now if I refresh the page, okay. So if I look here, let's see what's happening here. This is an update, and what I'm not seeing is a bunch of posts. So we're having no obvious JavaScript errors. Oh, that's the description. Hold on. Looking at the wrong file. So okay, so A New Hope. Let's see if that made the changes, and it did. So our code is still working. If I go to the book and if I build it, and so it is. So I guess this is off of UTC, so it's 10:35. We'll have to localize for users. But this is telling me what I need to know, that it currently is working and it is now using this. So let's read a little bit more about what Reactor does. So we install Reactor. We register our project things. This is where we have our WebSocket URL patterns. Reactor does not search your code base for commands, so you have to preload them. So this will be a file to import them. In the templates where we want to use reactive commands, you have to load the Reactor static files. So do something like this so the right JavaScript is loaded. So you load Reactor, template tags and filters of React. Is that React or Reactor? I hope this isn't using React. I don't know React. Okay, so it uses binding similar to how Vue.js does it. I'm worried that as much as I want to do this, this is an early project and this isn't. There's some neat stuff with this, but and this is fun and experimental, but it's not really what I wanted to do. So I think as interesting as this is, and it's not because it's called Reactor, which is similar to React. It's simply that this is going to be pretty invasive to the project. So let me see if I can. So if I go back here and we're here, so right now we're not using this WebSocket application. We are calling it here under protocol type router. I think I was saying calling this prototype before, which is incorrect. So it's ASCII. So I think it's bypassing this entirely. So this file isn't being called. This file isn't being called. This file isn't being called. So we're calling our routing, which is then, and I can, let's double check that. Print larg. Okay, let's see if we can. And then let's see what happens. It may just not pick up on that. Wait on flow. ASCII lifespan. So we're getting some different messages. So I think let's try doing it with channels. And at some point, and right now our ASCII stuff isn't breaking. So I think that's all factored in. It's just not documented yet. That's what I'm going to believe, is that our ASCII stuff that we have in the project is still what it is. Just, I guess, learning, that's part of building stuff, is discovering what you actually have and what you don't have and what is matched in the documentation. Okay, so let's go to the channels docs. Here we go. So what we want to do, here's our tutorial. Implement a chat server. We don't want to do that. We will probably be borrowing from this. Yeah. And you can see there's so there's this right here. So in our case, what we will do is in the, sorry, this is taking a little bit for me to figure out. You're kind of bearing witness to my like thinking pattern. So here under, we're gonna do it all in build list for now. Let's clean up some of this stuff. Oh, that was actually what I need. So build list. And what we will do when we're done is we may move it into a base file so we can see where things are supposed to be, like how things are actually supposed to be operating. And we're going to do block JavaScript. And then we'll make sure we inherit everything that we need from the parent. And then let's do some copy pasting of, so we have WebSocket, window.location.host, and then we'll call this, well, I don't like how, I think we can just do this because we're dealing with JavaScript. So let's use string literals. So, and then we have, so string literals in JavaScript are very similar to f strings in Python. The difference is you, instead of having, in Python you have this, oops, in JavaScript you have this. They essentially mean the same thing, except for in Python, if you want to do multi-line string with f strings, this is what you do. In JavaScript, this is also a multi-line string. Okay, so we have our window.location host, and then what else do we have? We have, we're gonna do builds, and then build list. Not sure that's the right thing to do, but by golly, that's what we are going to have. Okay, so here they're they are parsing out JavaScripty stuff. I wonder if we can I guess we'll just, for now, we'll copy what they have and we'll get a little bit fancier given time. So we have the data, and this is going to go to the chat log. And for us, whoa, where'd all this stuff come from? I don't want any of this. I think I pasted in the wrong batch of stuff. Hold on. Okay, so this is going to go to a chat log thing that we don't have, and instead we're going to create a we're just going to create a paragraph tag, and we're going to give an ID of message, not message, that's WebSocket message. And this way we can just see the results really instantly on the screen. And we may not be sending JavaScript. Preferably, I want to send HTML down the wire, but let's one step at a time. So we don't want to do any of this chat message stuff. This is just rendering out a template to be seen. This is for the views. Okay, so but what I should be able to do, let's write our first consumer. And we'll do, for now, we're going to put that in, let's see where he does it. So now, well, we're not going to put in consumers. We're going to be, we're going to have a build consumer. So we have our build view. Now we're going to add a build consumer because this is going to go inside of our container. And this is going to be a little bit gnarly. I'll make the imports prettier later. So please don't be mad at me that I'm not like being super Pepe, but I'm sort of, this is a brainstorm episode. So we have this, so we're gonna have, let me blow this up for you. So for the viewers at home, because I'm assuming most of everyone watching are at home, because I've decided I don't want to call it the pandemic on my channel anymore. I'm gonna call it we're on Mars. We're on different planets, and we're space explorers, and so you may not be at home. You might be I'm on Mars, nearby Mons Olympus. I don't know where you are on Mars, but that's where I am, and so it's not like I can just zip out to the store. And I think calling it that is a little bit more exciting than saying that we're so is Toronto, is that on is that a colony on Mars or Venus or Titan? Okay, so self text data, and right now it's because it's been so long since I played with channels, I'm just gonna copy paste for now. So look at this. So here they're gonna take, so watch this, they turn, they're gonna take the data as, so they actually are receiving data. I guess we'll just paste it in. We're not gonna get fancy yet. Although that's probably gonna break what we have. It does not broadcast messages to other clients in the same room. And then in routing, yeah, Phoenix LiveView looks interesting. The Reactor project I saw looks interesting. It's just I don't want to go that far off from Django canon yet, because I'm just experimenting with stuff on my own. So I think what we're gonna do is okay, so we may be changing that. So we're gonna go back to our routing. And then up here from Django.urls import re path. And then from let's see, we're gonna do Writernaut builds views import build container, and then for our path that's gonna be re. So this does not match. We use RE path due to limitations in RE router, so in the URL router. So import auth. Hold on. So this is, so there's, okay, so I see how this works. I got confused. I'm combining the wrong files. These do not belong together. Instead, we have a routing file. So see here, this is within chat, and then this is within the main routing file. And then in routing, we're gonna do something like from dot views import build container, and then we're gonna have I think we'll just do, so they're having room name, we're gonna have make that a number, and then we will have a primary key, and then builds. We may change this up, and then for build container we have build consumer. Okay, so that's close enough. And then, yeah, once I get back up to speed on channels, maybe I'll dig into things like Reactor and trying to implement something like Phoenix LiveView, either with that or maybe my own thing. But for right now, because it's been a few years since I really dug into channels, I know I need to get back up to speed on it before I do anything like that. So this is why that guy's post on dev.20, what was creative, it wasn't helpful. There's no authentication. And again, I don't want to sound ranty or anything because I'm not, but you know, it's a difference between from Writernaut, from building something that actually works in the real world and building a toy. And yes, you know, I'm reasonably intelligent, so given time I could roll this stuff of my own and get it working with the rest of Django. I don't want to spend that time doing that. Import builds dot routing. Did I call that routing or router? Yeah, I did call routing. Okay, so now inside of here, oh, I see. So Django views are added by default, and now I'm going to add a WebSocket route that is going to be surrounded by the auth middleware stack. Oh, that's a nice change, because I think it was a little bit harder in old school. So builds dot routing dot WebSocket URL patterns. So yeah, that copies it, except for I have it with builds. Okay. So yeah, that auth middleware scope populates a connection scope with a reference to currently authenticated user. When I was doing channels, this was like a new feature that was awesome. It was like, yay, authentication's getting easier. That's how long I mean, yeah, I was playing Django near channels near the beginning. I was working with Andrew at the time. So run. Let's. I don't think we have anything that needs to. Yeah, like. Yep, no migrations. Okay, so here they have a lobby. Okay, so I should be able to. So routing goes to the build consumer, and so in theory, if I go to see what I have in the template. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely post on Twitter. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a few weeks since I gotten a chance to really dig into code like this and try to figure out something new. So, okay, so let's see if we can. So if we go here and let's pull up the shell. So, well, that's not what I'm looking for. So instead, so there's our WebSocket. Actually, let's go to, because I think it is OBS builds. Okay, so now WebSocket dot. Okay, so we have our on message, and now if we sit, okay, so oh, that's really interesting. So nothing that I've done is actually showing up, and I'll show you why. All the way here in this WebSocket thing, see how it says Pong? And if I look at make async, it's going config.ascii instead of going to a better thing to do might be to do something like manage.py run server. Yep. Now we are running into things where it's broken. So okay, so I have some invalid syntax in my routing. So routing from Writernaut. Let's try. So from builds dot right. Look at that. So here in routing, so line 10. Look at this. So Writernaut. And we have it working, and we can see that we have ASCII channels running. Okay, so now, wait, let's open up our WebSocket. Look at that, I got something here. Didn't like it. Awesome. So if I look at the WebSocket URL patterns, and for that, I'm going to routing, and I thought, oh, you know why? Because, yeah, it should be, it's not, it can't be this, is it? Okay, so we can, no, that's not it either. So WebSocket URL patterns. And then once we go there, WebSocket, that's going to, oh, you know why? Because we're calling an ID of a value. Let's add a, there we go. Now we have it. And now if I do WebSocket.send ping, and it doesn't give me anything back, I'm not sure what that means. So if we go to our view or our consumer, and if we compare, so here it sends back the message. Look at that. So looking at this, because right now it's playing the whole JSON game. So let's not worry about the JSON game. We're just gonna so self.send, so we get text data in. Let's just return what we got, because part of this is to embrace the idea of one of the goals of Writernaut is to not use JSON, is to rely on HTML or simple values to be returned and then injected. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so here I did that, and now what I got is not really what I wanted. Let's see, what do we get here in, okay, let's change up the text a little bit. Print text data, and we'll, what I'm doing here is now if I send the WebSocket again, oh, it's got to reset it. So it said ping, and it said it once. But I thought I was going to see it 3 times because I put it in 3 times. Let's try bang. Okay, so we're seeing a response in the shell, but I'm not getting a response back, and that might be okay. All right, this is not bad at all that I'm seeing what I'm seeing, because it means I'm on the right path. And one of the things is if you notice, I have this build slash, what happens if I do this, right? Okay, so, and then what if I do this? Okay, so this is, so I wonder if I can get here. Right, and now if I send jumping. Yes, okay. And we're going to call with okay. Whew. Okay, so let's dig in a little bit more into the channels and catch up. It's starting to come back to me. The channel layer is kind of a communication system. So I'd like to not have to do a channel. Like, how far can we get without using Redis? because like we're not using this for handling tasks or having people talk to each other. We're using this to notify users with WebSockets. So I don't know if we need these other pieces. Look, there's the async to sync. Right, so we have the group name. Accepts a WebSocket connection. Let's see what we have. We have a. We'll get into making this asynchronous in a bit. For now, I just want to. All right. Let me. I'll be right back. I'm gonna take a short break. Let's put up my notification window. Okay, I'll be right back. And I just realized the chat window is looking funny, so let me modify that. Okay. Now if I blow this up. Awesome. Okay, I'll be back in a few minutes. right? And then while I am here, I just want to check and see if the new logo is up. Yep, here it is. So we have the new, we have the new banner for the online Django event. Although I'm seeing that the Django right here is being cut, so I think we might have to adjust where Django is like up a bit. So let me do that right now because I just spotted that, and then I'll get back to the Django stuff. Let's see. Then this just gonna lift up to about like that. And I think, yeah, sorry, this is the sort of thing that like pays my bills, so it has to happen has to happen pretty quickly when we spot things like this. Okay, and then we're going to optimize the image. Fabio showed me this, so we can do it as lossless, and this is just gonna shrink the size of it. Perfect. So we just saved some a bit of the perfect. And then I'm gonna go to Eventzilla. So again, part of the job. And then I'll get back to the channel stuff. So yeah, one of the things that I'm not too happy with Eventzilla, like there's two things I don't like. One is that it times you out pretty frequently, and the other thing is that you can't have too long of a password. So right, so we're going to go to our details, and we're gonna put in the new image. There we go. And now the Django part will show up better. Okay, we're gonna give that a few minutes to load. Yeah, now Django should be up there. Maybe we'll move ice cream. Well, for now, let's leave it as is. Okay, so if you haven't signed up yet, you should, because prices are gonna go up in a few days. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm gonna go to builds and look at that. So I've got a bug there in my code. That was my build list that I wanted to look at. So this is, so that's the, oh, you know what? That's so funny. Now I see what's going on. I need to surround this with script tags. Okay, so now, awesome. And we have WebSocket message. I think that and then we're gonna do get element by ID, and the message is this. So let's Okay, so it's not telling us anything yet. Let's make sure it's the... So I think what we want to do is, I'm just thinking for a second. So I think what we want to do is we have WebSocket.builds, and that's not really what we have on the routing side. Here what we have is WebSocket URL patterns, and then these are, right now it's per individual thing. I don't want to do that. I want to have it for all of them. Yes, that's what we do, because that way it'll give us information on each one. And then if we go to views, so it's going to WebSocket/builds. Let's, not sure what just happened. Okay, so now if we go, it doesn't like that. Error name not resolved. So let's take a look and see what we have. So build list. So it didn't like that. Let's see what we have. Maybe we do. It's, see how it's looking like there's no string literals. Oh, wait, am I doing JavaScript literals wrong? Hold on. Oh, it's a $sign. Okay. That's right. Excellent. So we have a, we mentioned the message, and now underneath it we'll get something. Okay, let's figure this out. Let's dig in a bit more into the channels. Consumers, WebSocket receive. So we have the connect. Our, so it's, here's the receive type. Oh, so send, and then look at that. So WebSocket.connect of a sync consumer. This is a consumer is a subclass of either a, let's go for a sync consumer to begin with, and then once we get it figured out a little bit more in depth, we will, so we're going to make it a sync consumer. And then what we have is, send is a coroutine. Maybe it's a smart idea to do it as an async consumer. Okay, so it's async. Just because this is WebSocket, so we want these to be async. So it is async def. Ah, okay. So it's async def WebSocket connect. It's passing in the event, and then await self.send, because, and we have to return an await, or we have to have an await in there because it's async. And then within here we have type, type colon WebSocket dot accept, and then let's go to our WebSocket received. I don't know if we need that, but I do know. And this is WebSocket receive. So yeah, this is specifically, you notice how this is send. I guess this is also send and receive, but this is what we want. And again, this is an event, and this is more similar to now I'm starting to feel a bit more familiar with how things used to be. So WebSocket send, right? If you call, oh, so actually we do want to use the sync consumer because we're going to be calling the ORM. Okay. So I'm just gonna just there we go. Copy paste. Okay. Event.text. So here it's because we're using the ORM. You write sync consumers by default. Ah, okay, and then you only use async consumers. All right. And then we need to close it. So we have channel layers. So channel layers let us send message either one-to-one or via broadcast system called groups. So we're just going to use a default layer for now. Okay, so scope, if I remember correctly, is part of is similar to requests, and that matches what I remember. Look at that. We have a WebSocket consumer. Oh, look at this. Oh, this is exactly what I need. Let's bring this in. Oh, look, I already have it, and I think this is what I originally had. So it's all right. So connect. Let's, whoops. Let me close this. So here we, too much indenting. Called on connection, accept the protocol to reject the connection call. Wow, maybe I should have just stuck with what I had. So we're gonna, okay, then receive. So this is a text data come in. This is any bytes coming in. I think we can do this. And then what I want to do is self.send. Let's do, I don't want to force close the connection. I don't want to do any of these things. What I want to do is send a list of build IDs. So to do that, I'm going to do build IDs equals build.objects.filter. For now, we'll just do values, and I could just do ID, right? Doesn't that work? Oh, it didn't like that. So, oh. And then let's switch to perfect. So that's what I need. And then if I have JSON dot, what happens if I do list build IDs, or if I do from import JSON, JSON.dumps build IDs. Okay, so I just need to do so I can do it that way. I can also, there's a bunch of different things that I can do. Okay, so dump s, and then we're gonna list these things. Okay, so this is what, so we're gonna get a list of IDs. Oh, look at this. Well, that's kind of nice. So, but long term, I don't want to, I know I'm being silly, but I don't want to be doing this in JSON. I'd rather send HTML, maybe. Let's see, I think that's, okay. Async ID. So you can also implement long polling. We're not gonna, for now, we're not gonna be doing long polling. I guess that's technically what we're gonna be doing. But let's see what else we have. So we have routing. I think we're good with routing. Database access. Okay, so channel layers. I don't think we need channel layers. Sessions. Let's get our sessions. I think for now, what we're gonna do is build IDs equal. For now, we're just gonna get this list, and from there we can figure out our pattern with what we're trying to do for updated records. Because part of this also is when we have a change, we need to be able to notify the user that there's been change in status. So we have build IDs to access it. We are trying not to play with session, or if we are okay. Authentication, custom authentic. We don't want custom how to log user in. Let's see, where's the database connections? How do we call the user record? I remember that was like, oh, self dots. Okay, so perfect. So here, what we can do is filter builder equals self.scope user. So now it'll only call for what we have. And okay, let's do a couple other things. Security, we have that in place. Worker and background tasks. Okay, let me just think. Okay, so for now, all this is gonna do is when we ping it, it will get the information from the user. It's not using long polling yet, just because I'm still trying to feel this out. I didn't like that, but let's go to here. We're gonna check our. Okay, I don't see a problem. Let's restart our Django though, just to make sure that we're not fooling ourselves into thinking it's working. Okay, so if I go to build list, the message is, let's do console.log, and we're going to see the result of E, because this is the message. Okay, this isn't really doing what I want. Let's see. Wow, this is so bare bones compared to like playing around with the Vuex data and stuff like that. So for me, this is kind of I guess it's there's a lot less abstraction. Okay, so we have a chat server on message, on close, query selector. Oh, I see. So here with the chat socket, they're sending a message. So in our case, what we could do is we could do this. Let's see. So we open the connection. That's what this is. Let's see if, and this is on click is when the message is happening. Let's do a, let's see, we're going to have a JavaScript. Give me a second to think this one through. So JavaScript repeating function. Forget what that is. I don't want set interval. There it is. So so what I do is something like set interval, and then inside of this we're going to call a function which in this case what it does is, so we call it chat socket, but we'll call it build socket. And so we're going to build socket, and then what we'll do is we actually won't send a message. Like all we want to do is we can just say hello. All we're doing is we're pinging the server to know that we want to, and we'll do that every, it's every, so we'll do it every 3,000 milliseconds. So every 3 seconds, it's going to ping the server. And specifically what it's going to do is it's going to return this list of things, and then it'll inject that into here, and in the, whoops, wrong place. It'll inject that here with messages. It'll list the string. So let's 1, 1000, 2, 1000, 3, 1000. Now it's, oops, I saw an error. So something didn't like that. So got a keyword argument text data. Okay, so receive got a text value it didn't want, which is text data. So what we'll do is, I think in our views, in our receive, we do need the text data, right? And let's try it again. 1000, 2, 1000, 3, 1000. Document.get element by ID. So it's actually working. The issue though is that document.get element by ID is not a valid JavaScript function. This is. So now 1000, 2, 1000, 3, 1000. Yes, so you can see there's the message coming back. These are the IDs of the records, and the records specifically are, this is really interesting. because what we can do is, I just had a crazy idea. Oh my god, this is so insane. You're gonna love this. So we have this, so right now we're putting the message here, and if I actually go here, you can see it didn't load in that window. I'm not sure why it didn't. WS message, why is that not working? So get element e dot, so there it is. So the question I have is this, is why is, let's try it again. 1002, 1003, 1000. Maybe, why is that not? WS message. I don't think I have to do a pound sign before, do I? That's so weird. I thought I knew how this kind of thing worked, and here I am wondering why right underneath here. So if you look at WS message, maybe it is, let's look at our books. Book form, chapter form actually is document, event, anchor, event.target.value. Oh, it's the text content. That's why. Okay, I got it. All right, let's try it again. 2 1000, 3 1000. There we go. So the value just got injected in there. Okay, so here's the thing. I could do this in JSON, right? Or there's another way. Okay, so if we look here under views, okay, we render this out, right? What if we rendered the template, but instead of returning JSON, we actually return back through the WebSocket. I know this is crazy. If we returned back the rendered HTML and then we just replace the table, is that crazy? I don't know. Let's find out. I'm so excited by this. I could this is like what I've been aiming to do since I started, coming up on 3 hours ago, was, having to back up to speed with whatchamacallit, channels and other stuff. Just took me a little bit, but now I think I know how to do it. So Django, I think it's render template because we don't need the entire context. Render to string. Can we do? Yeah, so I think all we have to do is call render to string. That's it. Let's see if they actually tell us the offers two methods. No, I want render to string. Okay, so there it is. This is what I need. And now let's go all the way up here, or we'll put it here in our interim spot. Okay, so we have our render to string. And then what we do is, I know, I'm not sure this is the right thing to do, but if I'm following the hey.com pattern, for me, this is exciting. That's a really good question, Clayton Lima P. I guess I've gotten so used to doing this with JSON that, you know, doing it with just plain HTML feels naughty. Like I am doing this wrong. When the reality is you know, there's you know, there's nothing wrong with this per se. It's just, you know, okay. So what we have is include and then build slash, or we have include builds slash build table. And I'm not sure yet if this is the right pattern to follow. This is all part of the fun of this effort is seeing where we can. So I just need to pass in into this in the context builds. So if we go to because, you know, we've been doing, well, I've been doing JSON with REST or, you know, whatever for so long. You know, this is just what I've gotten used to doing. Result equals render to string, and then I pass in the template name, which is build table.html. And then what's the next value? Context. So now we're doing context. And then the context is let's do the context. So we're not actually using JSON anymore. We can get rid of that. This is going to be what we're shooting back at thing. Okay. Or we'll call this rendered string. That's probably not what we'll call it in the long term, but just bear with me. Oh, and we need to build a context. So the context is this. This is all I need, right? Because I'm not doing anything fancy with JSON. I'm just dumping the data into here. It's rendering the string on the back end, and then it's going to send the data up. And finally, what we need to do is in our build list. So we have this WS message. Instead, what I want to do is put span class, and the ID would be build table. Okay, and then so now what we're gonna do is when, okay, let's just see what that is. So build socket does hello, and okay, so we can do hello, and then hold on, just let me think this through. So like a hello, and then so now I just have to figure out how to like play with this a little bit. So just bear with me for a second. First we're gonna fetch it, not long polling, just load it once, and then, you know, we'll figure out how to do this part. Oops, don't need that. And 1000 to 1000. Cannot set property of text content. Oh, look, we got something. Okay, so we do need to fix that. Cannot set text property of null. So document dot Okay. I can't remember. JavaScript add HTML to add HTML element. That's it. Append child. That's it. Okay, let's see if this works. 1002, 1003, 1000. Yay, we got another error. Cannot append child of null. So what the problem is that build table is not an ID. Let's try it again. 1000, 2, 1003, 1000, 4, 1000. On node, permanent one. Okay, so I think let's try text content equals. Let's see what happens. Okay, awesome. So this is what we have currently. This isn't really what we want, but this is closer. Definitely closer. And the reason why, so two things that this tells me. One is that I still feel like I'm being a little bit naughty. So, all right. So here's one problem is builds : so I do need to so that's the first thing. So let's try this again. 1002, 1003, 1000. All right. So I'm not sure why it's not showing all of the builds, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry about that. What I want to do now is remember how to inject that JavaScript. Thank you, inner HTML. It's funny how I feel so mischievous doing this. Okay, so this should work. Let's give it a try. 1002, 1000. Yes! Now we just have to figure. Thank you so much, Clayton Lima. I owe you one. Now I just have to figure out why builds are not showing up. So we build in builds. That is the context, and that is based off of. Oh, maybe it would help if I actually added a context to this. 1002, 1003, 1000. Boom, there it is. And it is going to refresh, which means, I think it is. Let's just see. 1002, 1003, 1000, 1000, 2, 1000, 3, 1000. So, like, we'll address this with maybe long polling or doing something like that. Because I think actually what I want to be calling here is self.close. Let's try that and just that way we don't have a bunch of threads open. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to 1.7/admin, and there's gonna be, so what I plan to do is change it so that way the polling will work that it only gets updated when something changes in status. So if we go to builds and we have an in progress, I'm gonna, oh, this is closed by admin. That's one of those. This one, okay, so it's marked as in progress. I'm gonna mark it closed by admin, and then within 3 seconds, 1002, yes. So what we're doing is, so this isn't super ideal because the way that the polling, what we are doing is so there's several things that are going on that, like I said, not super ideal. So for starters, we are we're doing this poll. So this isn't like a long polling request. It is opening and closing a socket each time. And from what I understand of things, it takes more effort to open and close something every 3 seconds than it does to keep it open. That said, it's going to be less than if we were, polling, REST API every 5 to 10 seconds. So there is some merit to it. Another thing that we're doing, which is a little bit wonky, is if you look at the build table, I include all the header stuff. So we're actually sending more over the wire than what we need. Ideally, what I should do is have, put it inside this right here. So let's do a little bit of improvement to this. That's the base. We want to go to build list, and where it says build table, we're going to change that to say class or ID equals build table. Okay, and then we're also going to close it on this side as well. So, and now one of the neat features of, wait, how'd I get? Is that what I wanted? Where I think I messed up. No, I didn't. Build table. And then, okay, that's better. But what I will do is I'll stick this back in. So that way when the page first loads, they're going to get, it literally is the same table as what's in here. And so now we have a lot less coming down the wire. And yeah, I know this doesn't account for pagination, but I have some ideas for that too. Okay, so that is correct. And what I like about this is as soon as it shows up, it's there. And if I change the status, then, within a few seconds, it'll show it. Let's quickly figure out long polling. Because that's what I really want. I want to have that open socket just hanging there. Testing, authentication, sessions. Use the lower level self-sent methods. All right, so this is a HTTP endpoint, which isn't what I really want. I guess it could be. So it's a HTTP. I thought I handled this differently. That's oh, I know. It's in the tutorial. Implement chat server. Write your first consumer. And then there's a way to broadcast to everyone within a group. I'm just trying to remember how to do that. Is that it? I don't think that's it. So send a message. Self.channelAir.groupSend. Huh. Well, I have something working. It'll work for now, because I have to leave shortly. As much as I want to continue, I do have other. I have to get some regular work done today. I mean, I've gotten a bunch of stuff done today, but I need to get more done. So git add dot, and I think when I revisit this, I'm gonna jump into testing. Added long, added polling, because there's a long polling, allowing polling service to build page, so build updates can be seen. And one of the things, so all right, let's go over what we accomplished, because there actually is something really interesting here. And I'm only doing it once, so I'm not yet sure about it as a pattern. Part of this today was an experiment. It wasn't just me getting back up to speed in channels after not touching it for several years and doing things with, you know, AppSync and other, and Node.js and other ways to handle WebSockets. Part of it was that the build view that I have here, which handles several different use cases of reading or browsing or searching, not yet searching, and also creating new builds, typically this is in the views like this are in a different place than the consumers. And what I wanted to do was create, for now I just called a build container. I wanted to have something where all methods of viewing the data that aren't a separate API, but like working within the HTML pages, are called on in one class, and that I call build container. If I change books and chapters of this, there'll be book containers and chapter containers. I'm not 100% certain about this, because the truth of the matter is that it can be good to separate these out. Like, this is a simple project. What happens as this project grows? One of the things that always bugs me is when I see like models which have, or when I see people combine like different components like views and models and forms onto one class. But this I feel is different, because this is the view, this is a HTTP view. It's one view of the data. This is the WebSocket view. So I don't know yet if this is a smart approach or not. And also, for example, right now I'm polling. What would be better is when a change happens, the save model or the save method or a post save signal, we'll see which one works better, would then trigger the user to read, or anyone who can see the particular build for a particular book would see it update in real time. So I don't know if this would play nicely with that, and I think that's what I'm gonna explore next with this, is how this explores. I'm kind of torn. I do like I do kind of like this pattern of putting everything here in one thing, but I know view modules can get really big, especially as um, uh, especially if you're doing stuff with WebSockets where you're having to write out a bit more of the logic. Another concern that I'm seeing is the nesting, that we have 1 level, 2 level, 3 levels before we even get to any of the logic. So logic starts at 4 levels, which bugs me too. So I'm kind of out there. If you have any thoughts about it, I would love to hear what you have to say, either in the YouTube comments when this gets posted to YouTube and or wherever, if you want to like hit me up in any of the channels I'm normally at. So um, since I only have a couple minutes before I go, and you know, I do have to pay the bills, so I'm gonna promote a few things real quick. If you're listening to me here on Twitch, please follow me. That's the heart button. If you really want to be nice, you can subscribe, and that gives me a little bit of money every month. Also, we have we are just starting to really promote it. We have an online, and I think you can see it in the chat log. There's this online 2Scoops best practices Django class that I'm teaching on August 14th, which will go into, unlike this, it's not going to be experimental. It will all be knowledge and tricks that I've picked up after years and years of working with Django and Python. And so we, right now it's in early bird. And so there's still some tickets left at this price, but that will be going up, and we're about to tonight, because it's my birthday week, we're going to be emailing our mailing list. So these will probably sell, and we'll probably have to create the general admission tickets already. So if you want to get them at this price, now is the time to do it. Let me see, what else do I get to promote? Oh, and if you haven't already, you know, I do have a YouTube channel, so where I will post this video and I post other videos. Oops, that's my and so that's where I post short form videos, long form videos. My current most popular one is how to get a job as a Python developer in 2020, so I release 1 to 2 to 3 videos a week, either highlights of these codecasts or the stuff like this one right here, which is a trick you can do in Django, and this is general advice. Well, that's it for me. Thank you so much for sticking with me while I re-educated myself with channels. I feel like there's some parts I still don't know how to do again yet, because I think, if I remember correctly, channels had just gone to 2 when I had stopped using it. So everything I know is for channels 1. There's still a lot of similarities. I like that the focus on the class-based design instead of the function-based design. There's some, I think, some tricks with inheritance we can play with. For example, I want to add something where we have our own custom base class for these resource consumers that will send a notification, so that way you get a notification banner at the top. But that is kind of dependent on how the, you know, how the structure of data works. I think for that we might actually have to stick into JSON. Like we might have 2 JSON objects, one with just HTML, and then the other one with, is this a notification or is this a content update? Because it's good when you have like a message at the top bar saying, hey, this just happened, but then within the context of the application, for example, here in our I think I lost it. Here in our build list view, what is, you know, we want to show these changes, but we might also want to say something saying, you just had a change. So that's something that I definitely want to explore. Again, thank you. Take care.